Are you a seller or a listing agent? Listen up, we're going to talk compensation today. Extremely important, especially for our sellers out there. So riddle me this. Why does 25% of our industry still help sellers predetermine buyer agent compensation before they have any clue what their offer is going to be from that buyer? Doesn't make any sense, does it? So let's dive into that a little bit. So the reality is, buyers are going to need help. Buying a home today is expensive. They do have to pay their buyer agent compensation. They do have to pay associated costs to their mortgage. They do have to pay associated costs to title, homeowners insurance, and a whole list of things. It's expensive, and the reality is most buyers don't have enough money. So they're going to need some type of closing assistance. What I'll tell the sellers out there is don't get caught up in the weeds of what that looks like. If that comes in the way of a simple just closing cost addendum, great, whatever. If that comes in the way of pay my buyer agent compensation addendum, great, who cares? They just need help. That's the way you need to look at this. So they need some assistance out there. So let's talk a little bit about the education side of this. So this video is I wanted to put this together to help educate the industry a little bit, that 25%. This is not meant to offend you. This is meant to help you understand a little bit better. The reality is 96% of sellers are actually paying buyer agent compensation. It's that simple. They're being paid. Buyers agents are being paid. So stop the phone calls. Many buyers agents will call a listing agent and say, hey, is the seller predetermining compensation and what is that? Who cares? Let them negotiate that, right? 96% of sellers are paying all of that buyer agent compensation. Who cares? So stop wasting time making those phone calls. If you're a buyer's agent and you're excluding properties for your buyer, so they don't get the full opportunity to see all listings out there because a seller hasn't predetermined compensation, it's bad practice, it's bad ethics, you're going to lose your license at some point, you're going to end up in a lawsuit at some point. It's just not good. Just know that 96% of sellers are paying your compensation. Stop making those phone calls and go show the property. It's going to be a win for you and a win for your buyer. So let's get out there and show the properties. Let me talk a little bit about predetermining compensation and the problem with that. When a seller predetermines compensation, number one, the obvious problem, whatever offer comes in, good or bad, the seller still has to pay the same amount of compensation. So if they get an offer that's $40,000 below what they want, and they decide to accept that, they're locked in already to the compensation. They can't negotiate that because when you predetermine compensation, you now create what's called a broker-to-broker compensation. You have removed the ability for a buyer and seller to negotiate fully on the contract and the offer. So if you're that listing agent, you have removed that ability and locked your seller into something that they may not want to pay because of the offer that came in. Because now it's between the two brokers. And the brokers typically don't get into negotiating. It's a preset compensation, and it is what it is. So my suggestion is stay 100% away from a broker-to-broker co-op, which means a predetermined co-op, compensation, I should say. Stay 100% away from predetermining any of that stuff. Let the buyer and seller negotiate based on the quality of the offer. And I can tell you one of the cool things we're seeing out of this is through this shift over the past year or so, what we're seeing out of this shift is when we allow the buyers and sellers to negotiate fully on a contract, including compensation or closing assistance for to help pay a buyer's agent, those kind of things, we're seeing stronger offers. We're seeing more compensation actually for the agents, believe it or not. Strange as that sounds. And the buyers and sellers are good with it. So it's not that somebody's charging more up front, because when you predetermine, that's what's happening. Whatever's set in that contract, that's it. It's done. It's locked in. There's no negotiating that stuff. It's finished, right? Versus if you just leave it and let the parties, the buyer and seller, negotiate it, we're seeing agents actually be offered and or paid higher than what the standard was. And I know our industry is not supposed to have a standard, and I'm sorry for saying it. It's been a standard way before I got in the industry. And again, we're not talking specific numbers, but our industry has had a standard for decades that a seller would actually pay to a buyer's agent. And it's not necessary anymore. Again, it doesn't help a seller get more offers. It doesn't help a seller get higher offers. Reality is, if the buyer's interested in the property, they're going to negotiate and they're going to put their best foot forward and they're going to try to win that property. And if that means they need some closing assistance because they don't have all of those funds themselves to pay it, just understand that that's really just a vehicle to finance that money. When that becomes part of the offer and is provided from the seller, whether that's directly to the buyer or through an addendum that ends up being to the buyer's broker, it doesn't matter. It's just a way for the buyer to finance some of these additional expenses because, again, it's expensive for a buyer these days. So let's not get caught up in the weeds of all that. I wanted to put this video together. I talked to our agents this past Tuesday at our office meeting and mentioned that I would put a video together to better explain some of this stuff to help them have better conversations with their sellers and buyers. Hopefully this helps, but I decided that I would make this video public and post it on all my social media platforms. So have at it. If you have questions, you're a buyer or seller, doesn't matter. Let me know. If you're an agent at a different brokerage, reach out. I'll help. I'm here for that. I'll do my best to help. There's some lines that I can't cross if your broker has a set policy, but I can certainly do my best to help educate in why this shift that happened some time ago is a great shift for our market. It's been good for everybody. It's been a win-win for the buyer and seller, and then also a win for our agents. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me.